Hello SONiC lovers, welcome to the channel Gone. Today I will show you how to configure Spine Leaf Topology in SONiC having VxLAN BGP L2VPN EVPN. Spine Leaf Topology is the most widely used topology in data center. Now this is the required topology that I will use. In this topology, I am using two spine switches, spine 1 and spine 2, and three leaf switches, leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3. Leaf 1 is attached with spine 1 and spine 2, while leaf 2 is also attached with all the spine switches. All leaf switches are attached with all spine switches. Now, here we can see all the routers are in same ASN, which is 65,000. Here for easiness I have written all the IP addresses, VLANs, VTEPs that we will use in this topology. This is leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3, and here spine 1 and spine 2. Now I will go into leaf 1 to configure it. Now I am starting it. Here we can see it is loading. Now here we can see the default username and password for SONiC is admin and your password. Now here I will enter SONiC login as admin and password. From here I will use this password. I will copy it and then paste it here. Now what I will do, I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. Here we can see it is not showing all the interfaces. Now again I will use this command here. In SONiC, all the ports are in layer 3 and all ports have assigned default IP addresses. Here we can see the default IP address of port 0 is 10.0.0.0 and the default IP address of Ethernet 4 is 10.0.0.2. All the ports are in layer 3 and all ports have assigned default IP addresses. Now what I will do, I will remove all these default IP addresses by using command sudo config interface IP remove Ethernet 0 10.0.0.0/31. Now I will again use this command. Here I will use Ethernet 4. Again I will use the same command. Here I will use Ethernet 8. Now again I will use command for port Ethernet 12. Now again I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. As we can see here, port 0, 4, 8 and 12 are not present because all the default IP addresses have been removed. Now what I will do, here as we can see in the topology for leaf 1, the IP address of port 0 and port 4 is 192.168.11.1 and 12.1. Now again I will go into leaf 1 Here I will use command sudo config interface IP add port name and then IP address 192.168. For port 0, what is the IP address? 11.1.11.1/24, and for port 4 the IP address is 12.1. Here we have to add the IP address 12.1 for port 4. Now again I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. We can see IP addresses have been assigned to port 0 and port 4, and these are the IP addresses that we want to use in our topology. Here we will not assign IP address to port 8 and 12 because we will assign VLANs to it and these will be untagged. Now what I will do, I will create VLANs by using command sudo config VLAN add 10 and then VLAN 20. Now I will check the status of VLAN table by using command show VLAN brief. Here we can see VLAN 10 and 20 have been created. Now here we can see port 8 and 12 no IP address is assigned to these ports. Now I will use command sudo config VLAN member add untag 10 Ethernet 8 and then VLAN 20 for port 12. Again I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show VLAN brief. Here we can see port 8 and 12 are member of VLAN 10 and 20 respectively. Now again I will go into topology. Here what I will do, I will create loopback 10 with IP address 1.1.1/32. Now I will use command sudo config interface IP add loopback 10 1.1.1.1/32. Again I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. As we can see here, IP address 1.1.1.1/32 has been assigned to loopback 10. So as we can see, IP addresses have been assigned to port 0, port 4, loopback 10 is also created, and VLANs have also been created, and these ports have been made as part of VLAN and these are untagged. Now what I will do, I will save these configurations by using command sudo config save flag y. So as we can see, all the configurations are saved in /etc/sonic/config.db.json file. So what I will do, I will stop this switch. Since all the configurations are saved, so now I am stopping this switch. What I will do, I will go into leaf to switch and repeat the same commands on this switch. Now I am starting it. Here again the switch is loading. Now again I will use this username and password to log in into switch. Here, yes, it is loading. Here, admin and then password. Here we can change the password of the switch also. I will use command sudo passwd sudo password admin and then new password SONiC. Retype new password SONiC. So now I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. As we can see here, interfaces are loading. Again, I will use command show IP interfaces. As we can see here, default IP addresses have been assigned to ports 0, 4, 8 and so on, because these are L3 ports now. Now I will remove all these default IP addresses from these ports by using command sudo config interface IP remove ethernet 0 10.0.0.0/31, and then I will use the same command by changing IP address and port name. Again, I will repeat this command 024 and then for ethernet 8, and then I will use the same command by changing IP address and port name. Now again I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. Here we can see port 0, 4, 8 and 12 are not present. Now I will assign IP addresses as per topology. Here we can see the IP address of port 0 is 13.1 and port 4 is 15.1. Again I will go into the switch. I will use command sudo config interface IP add and then 192.168.13.1 13 and 15 13.1/24, and then for port 4 it 15.1. Again I will check the status of IP interfaces. Here we can see everything is fine. Now I will go into topology. Here we can see the loopback address is 2.2.2.2. Again I will use command sudo config interface IP add loopback 10 2.2.2.2/32. Now I will create two VLANs, VLAN 10 and 20, by using command sudo config VLAN add 10 and then VLAN 20. I will check the status of VLAN table by using command show VLAN brief. Yes, everything is fine. Now what I will do, I will make these ports as part of VLAN. Ethernet 8 as a member or part of VLAN 10 and Ethernet 12 as a part of VLAN 20. Now I will use command sudo config VLAN member add untag 10 Ethernet 8 and then for Ethernet for VLAN 20 Ethernet 12. Again I will check the status of VLAN table. Here we can see everything is fine and these ports are untagged. Now again I will check the status of IP interfaces. Here we can see the IP address of loopback 10 is 2.2.2. So I will save configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. Again I will go into topology. I will switch off this switch because all the configurations are saved now. Now I will go into switch leaf 3. I'm starting it here. Again the switch is loading. Again we will use the same credentials. Now let me check the switch. Yes, it is loading, and now username admin and the password is your password. So now I will change the password, sudo pawswd admin, and then new password SONiC. Now what I will do, I will remove all the default IP addresses by using command sudo config interface IP remove ethernet 0.10.0.0.0/31. Now oops, all the interfaces are loading, fail to connect to any daemon. Again I will use this command. Now I will use 2 for Ethernet 4, 10.0.0.2, and then 10.0.0.4 for Ethernet 8, and then 6 for Ethernet 12. Now I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. Here we can see all the default IP addresses have been removed. Now I will assign the IP addresses as per topology by using command sudo config interface IP add ethernet 0 192.168. Here in the topology we can see the IP addresses 14.1 and 16.1. 14.1 and then 16.1 for Ethernet 4. Now we can see the IP address of loopback 10 is 3.3.3.3/32. Now I will use the same command. Here I will use loopback 10 and then 3.3.3.3/32. Again I will check the status of IP interfaces. Here we can see everything is fine. Now I will create 2 VLANs, sudo config VLAN add 10 and then VLAN 20. And then I will check the status of VLAN table by using command show VLAN brief. So everything is fine. Now I will use command sudo config VLAN member add untag 10 ethernet 8, and then for VLAN 20 I will use command ethernet 12. Again I will check the status of VLAN table. Here we can see port 8 is a member of VLAN 10 and port 12 is a member of VLAN 20, and these are untagged. So everything is fine. Now I will save these configurations by using command sudo config save flag y. So all the configurations are saved in /etc/sonic/config.db.json file. Now I will also stop this switch. So what I will do, I will go into switches spine 1 and spine 2. I will remove all the default IP addresses and then I will assign these IP addresses as per topology. Now I am entering into spine 1. Here spine 1 is loading. Yeah, let's wait for some time, for some seconds actually. Here Just go admin and then password. Now I will change password sudo pawswd admin, new password SONiC, and then SONiC. So I will remove all the default IP addresses by using command sudo config interface IP remove ethernet 0 10.0.0.0/31. The interfaces are loading. It will take some seconds, not so much time. Again, wait for some time. Yes, now for port 2, for port 4 use 2, and then for port 8 use 4. As we can see here, 3 interfaces are used. So okay, now because all the default IP addresses have been removed from port 0, 4 and 8 respectively, now I will assign IP addresses to these ports. Here in the topology, the IP address of port 0 is 11.2. What? 11.2 192.168.11.2/24, and for port 0 and for port 4 13.2 for port 4, and then for port 8 14.2 for port 8 for port 8 14.2. Here 14.2 for port 8. Now what I'll check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. Here we can see all the IP addresses have been assigned as per topology. Now I will save configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. So again, go into topology. Here I am stopping this switch because all the configurations are saved in config.db. Now I will go into switch spine 2 and repeat the same steps. Now here the switch is loading. Yes, it will take some time, some fraction of seconds. It is loading. Yeah, just wait for some time. Here just go admin, and then password is your password. Now I will change the password by using command sudo password admin, new password is SONiC, and then SONiC. Again I will repeat the same commands sudo config interface IP remove ethernet 0 10.0.0.0/31. It will take some time. Yes, it will take some seconds actually. Again let me check. No, give some more seconds. Yeah, it is loading. All the interfaces are loading, all the daemons are loading. Yes, now for port 4 ethernet, for port 4 10.0.0.2, and then for port 8 10.0.0.4. now assign IP addresses as per topology. For ethernet 0 12.2, for ethernet 0 12.2, 192.168.12.2/24, and then for port 4 15.2, for port 4 15.2, and then for port 8 16.2, for port 8 16.2. Yeah, now I will check the status of IP interfaces by using command show IP interfaces. It is loading, all the interfaces are loading. So here we can see all the IP addresses have been assigned and everything is okay. Now I will save configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. Now again going to topology, I will switch off this switch because all the configurations are saved now. Now what I will do, I will create VXLAN and VTAPs which are 1.1, 2.2.2.2 and 3.3.3.3. As we can see, VTAPs and loopback are same. If loopback is 1.1.1, so VTAP would be 1.1.1. If loopback is 2.2.2, so VTAP would also be 2.2.2. Now again I will start this switch. Here it will take some time. Actually, why I am doing this, if I run all the switches at same time, it will consume a lot of resources. Might be the system would be slow, and it would be difficult to configure all these switches. Now again admin, for this switch I have not changed the password, so I will use the old password which is your password because I haven't changed the password for this switch. So first of all I will change the password, sudo pawswd password admin, new password is SONiC and SONiC. Now again verify the status of VLAN table, show VLAN brief. So yes, everything is fine. Now create VXLAN by using command sudo config VXLAN add VTAP 1.1.1. As we can see, for leaf 1 the VTAP is 1.1.1.1. Now I will use command sudo config VXLAN EVPN NVO add NVO VTAP, and now I will use command sudo config VXLAN map add VTAP 10.10. Actually, what does it mean? Here we can see in the topology VLAN to VNI mapping. The VLAN to VNI mapping is 10.10 and 20.20. Here we can see this is actually VLAN to VNI mapping. Now I will save this all the configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. Now what I will do, again I will go into topology. I will start the leaf switch which is leaf 2. I am starting this switch. Here we can see leaf 2 is loading. So now what I'll do, I'll repeat the same steps on leaf 2. Now in leaf 1 Now check the status of VXLAN tunnel by using command show VXLAN tunnel. Here we can see the name of VXLAN tunnel is VTEP, source IP is 1.1.1.1, and then here we can see tunnel map name. Now I'll check VXLAN interface by using command show VXLAN interface. Here we can see the name of VTEP is VTEP, source IP is 1.1.1, and source interface is loopback 10. Actually, this loopback 10 will be used as source IP, which is 1.1.1. Now I will go into leaf 2. Here admin and the password is SONiC. Here I will repeat the same commands: sudo config VXLAN add VTEP 2.2.2, because for leaf 2 the VTEP is 2.2.2.2. Now I will use command sudo config VXLAN EVPN NVO add NVO VTEP. Again I will use command sudo config VXLAN map add VTEP 10 10. As here we can see in the topology, now for leaf 1 we have created a mapping between VLAN 10 and VNI 10. We also have to create a mapping for VLAN 20 and VNI 20. Here I will use the same command sudo config VXLAN map add VTEP 20 and then 20. I will save all the configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. Here I will check the status of VXLAN tunnel by using command show VXLAN tunnel. Here we can see the name of tunnel is VTEP, source IP is 2.2.2, which is actually a loopback IP, and then here is the mapping. This is VLAN to VNI mapping. VNI is 10. This is VNI 10. It is mapped with VLAN 10, and VNI 20 is mapped with VLAN 20. Now again I will go into leaf 1. Here I will repeat the same command sudo config VXLAN map add VTEP 20 and then 20. I will check the VXLAN tunnel. Here we can see now it's fine. Again I will save configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. Now I will go into topology. Here what I'll do, I'll switch off this switch leaf 1. Here I am stopping it because all the configurations are saved now. Here I will go into leaf 2. Here I will check VXLAN interface by using command show VXLAN interface. Here we can see the name of VTEP is VTEP, source IP is 2.2.2, and then source interface is loopback 10. Here I will save all the configuration by using command sudo config save flag y. Now I will also stop this switch Now I will go into leaf 3 and start it. Here we can see leaf 3 is loading. Actually, why I am doing this? If I run all the switches at same time, it will consume a lot of resource. Now switch is loading. The login is admin and the password is SONiC. Here wait for some seconds. The switch is loading. Now what I'll do, I'll check the status of VLAN table by using command show VLAN brief. Here we can see all the configurations are saved. Now I will repeat the same things or steps as I did on leaf 1 and leaf 2. Now I will use command sudo config VXLAN add vtap 1. No. For leaf 3, the vtap is 3.3.3.3. vtap 3.3.3.3. Now I will use command sudo config VXLAN EVPN NVO add NVO vtap, and then use command sudo config VXLAN map add vtap 10 10, and then for VLAN 20 and VNI 20. Now check the status of VXLAN tunnel by using command show VXLAN tunnel. Here we can see the name of VXLAN tunnel is vtap and the source IP is 3.3.3, which is actually a loopback IP. Sorry. Here we can see VLAN to VNI mapping. VNI 10 is mapped with VLAN 10 or VLAN 20 is mapped with VLAN 20, VNI 20. Now I will save all the steps by using command sudo config save flag by. So now what I'll do, I'll stop this switch leaf 3 because all the configurations are saved. Now again I will start leaf 1. Sorry, might be you will be disturbed. I am starting and stopping all the switches again and again. Now again the switch is loading. Yes, it is loading. Now what I'll do, I'll configure BGP, and for BGP all the routers are in same ASN. Now here admin and the password is SONiC. Let me check the status of interfaces VLAN table and VXLAN tunnel, whether it is saved or not, by using command show IP interfaces. Oh, it is taking some time. Yes, everything is saved. Here we can see the IP address is not present of loopback 10. Here we can see. So I think I forgot to assign IP address to loopback 10. So now I will use command sudo config interface IP add loopback 10 1.1.1/32. Again I will check the status of IP interfaces. Here we can see IP address 1.1.1/32 has been assigned to loopback 10. Now again I will save it by using command sudo config save flag1. Now what I'll do, I'll check the status of VLAN table by using command show VLAN brief. Here everything is fine. Now VXLAN tunnel, yes, everything is okay. Now I'll go into Vitish configuration mode, router BGP 65000. Here we can see in SONiC BGP is running with AS 65100 and it is default. So we have to remove this instance by using command no router BGP 65100. Now use command router BGP 65000 here. Now what I'll do, I will assign this loopback IP as a router ID. For leaf 1 the router ID is 1.1.1, for leaf 2 the router ID is 2.2.2, and for leaf 3 router ID will be 3.3.3.3. Now I will use command BGP router ID 1.1.1.1. Now the main thing, the interesting thing in Spine Leaf topology is here we can see for leaf 1 there are two links here, and this link and this link. Suppose if I want to ping PC1 to PC3, so there are two paths for packet. One, this is the required path, this is leaf 1 to spine 1, and then spine 1 to leaf 2, and then PC3. And then we have path which is the second path from leaf 1 to spine 2, spine 2 to leaf 2, and then leaf 2 to host 3. So here we will use a technique ECMP, equal cost multipath. For this I will use command BGP best path AS path multipath relax command. This command will be used as a ECMP, equal cost multipath routing. This command will be used. Now here what I'll do, I'll make a neighbors spine 1, spine 2, leaf 2, leaf 3, neighbors of leaf 1. Now I'll use command BGP neighbor 192.168. Here we can see neighbor spine 1 as Ethernet 0, 11.2, 192.168.11.2, remote AS 65000, and then I'll make spine 2 as a neighbor of leaf 1, and the IP address is 12.2. I'll use the same command here, 12.2, and then what I'll do, I'll make leaf 2 and leaf 3 also neighbor of leaf 1. So now leaf 2, actually 2 IP addresses will be used for leaf 2 because there are 2 links. Here we can see leaf 1 can send packet through this path and this path also. So now I'll use the same command, and then I'll change the IP addresses as 13.1 and 15.1. 13.1 13.1, oops, sorry, 13.1. Here 13.1 and 15.1, 13.1 and then 15.1. Actually leaf 2 is a neighbor of leaf 1 through these 2 links. So these 2 IP addresses have been used to make a neighbor leaf 2 as of leaf 1. Now I will repeat the same steps for leaf 3. For leaf 3, 14.1 and 16.1. What? 14.1 and 16.1. Here 14.1 and then 16.1. So now what I'll do, here I'll use command update source. Suppose if leaf 1 is attached with leaf 2 through this path, then we will have to update the source as Ethernet 0 is a neighbor of leaf 2 through this path. So I will use command for 13.1. For 13.1 I will update source neighbor 192.168.13.1. update source for 13.1, the source would be 11.1, 192.168.11.1. For port 4, for link 4, 15.1, 15.1, the update source will be 12.1, 12.1. So now for leaf 3 these steps would also be same. Now for 14.1 the update source will be 11.1. For 14.1 the update source will be 11.1, and for link 4 16.1 the update source will be 12.1. For 16.1 the update source will be 12.1. 12.1. So now what I'll do, use command address family IPv4 unicast. Now I will advertise this loopback address 1.1.1.1/32 by using command network 1.1.1.1/32. Now I will exit out. I will use command address family L2VPN EVPN. Now here we can see this is actually a VxLAN BGP L2VPN EVPN. Now here I will use command neighbor. I will make neighbor leaf 2 a neighbor of leaf 1. Neighbor 192.168.13.1 neighbor 192.168.13.1 activate, and then I will use 15.1 here. So now for leaf 3 I will use the same step as 14.1 and 16.1. 14.1 and then 16.1, and then now I will advertise all the VNIs by using command advertise all VNI. So now and then save all the steps by using command write here. Now almost all the steps are completed for leaf 1. Now I'll repeat all the same steps for leaf 2 and leaf 3. Now I'm starting this switch leaf 2 here. Now we can see it is starting, it is loading. So now here we can see we will repeat the same steps for leaf 2 and leaf 3, and after that we will configure spine 1 and spine 2. Here yes, use command admin for login, and then password is SONiC. Here I'll go into Vitish. Oh, actually all the daemons containers are running, so wait for some seconds. Now Vitish, oops, it is taking some time. Now again check Vitish. No, it is taking some time. Okay, it is taking some time actually. Wait for some seconds. Now check the status. Vitish, yes, configuration mode, and then no router BGP 65100, router BGP 65000, BGP router ID 2.2.2, and then use command BGP best path, AS path, multipath relax, and then use command neighbor 192.168 for leaf 2. I'll use for leaf 2 I'll use 11.1 neighbor 192.168. Let me check for leaf 1 192.168.11.2 neighbor for leaf 1 I have used as 11.2. Now for spine switches I'll make these switches as a neighbor of leaf 2. Now for leaf 2, 13.2 and 15.2. First 13.2 for leaf 2, neighbor 192.168.13.2, 13.2, yes, remote AS 65,000, and then 15.2 here, 15.2, and then I'll make leaf 1 and leaf 3 as a neighbor of leaf 2. Now I'll use command neighbor 192.168 for leaf 1, 11.1 and 12.1, 11.1 and 12.1, 11.1 and 12.1, and now for leaf 3, 14.1 and 16.1, 14.1 and 16.1. Now I'll use command update source, because for leaf 2 here are two links for neighborship. So for this path, for this link, I'll use the source this path, and for this link I'll update the source this path. Now for leaf 2 neighbor, here for 11.1 the update source will be 13.1. For 11.1 92.168.11.1 the update source will be for 11.1 13.1, 92.168.13.1, and then for 12.1 the update source will be 15.1. For 12.1 the update source will be 15.1. For 12.1 the update source will be 15.1. And now for leaf 3, for 14.1 the update source will be 13.1. For 14.1 the update source will be 13.1, 13.1, and now for 16.1 the update source will be 15.1. For 16.1 the update source will be 15.1. Now I'll use command address family IPv4 unicast, and then I will advertise this network 2.2.2 by using command network 2.2.2.2/32. Now I will exit out. I'll use command address family L2VPN EVPN, and then I'll use command neighbor. Actually I will activate leaf 1 and leaf 3. Actually this is MP BGP technique for L2VPN. Now I will activate leaf 1 and leaf 3 by using command neighbor. The IP address is for leaf 2 192.168.11.1 and 12.1, 92.168.11.1, activate .12.1, activate, and then 14.1 and 16.1, 14.1 and 16.1, 14.1 and then 16.1. Now I will advertise all the VNIs and then end, and then I will save all the configurations by using command write. Here we can see all the configurations are saved in /etc/frr/bgpd.com file. Actually this is present in BGP container. So now I'll repeat same steps on leaf 3. Now I start the switch. Here the switch is loading. Now here we can see only leaf 3 is remaining, and then I'll go into spine 1 and then spine 2, and for spine 1 and spine 2 configurations are not so much, but for spine switches I'll use a technique BGP route reflector. What I'll do, I'll make these switches as clients and spine switches as server. So this is a client server model. So now for leaf 3, here yes, a login is admin and the password is SONiC. So now I'll go into Vitaish. So it will take some time. Again check now. Here yes, router, no, router BGP 65100, and then router BGP 65000, BGP router ID 3.03, and then BGP best path, AS path, multipath relax, and then neighbor 192.168. Make spine 1 and spine 2 as neighbor of leaf 3. So use 14.2 and 16.2. 14.2 remote AS 65000, 14.2 and then 16.2. So now spine 1 and spine 2 are neighbor of leaf 3. So now make leaf 1 and leaf 2 as neighbor of leaf 3. So now use the same command for leaf 1 11.1 12.1, 11.1 12.1, and then for leaf 2 13.1 15.1, 13.1 15.1. Now use update source command 192.168 for leaf 3. For 11.1 update source will be 14.1. For 11.1 update source will be 14.1. For 11.1 update source will be 14.1. And then for 12.1 update source will be 16.1. For 12.1 update source will be 16.1. Now for leaf 2 13.1 update source will be 14.1, and for 15.1 update source will be 16.1. 15.1 the update source will be 16.1. So now address family IPv4 unicast, and then advertise the network 3.3.3.3/32 by using command network 3.3.3/32. Now exit out, enter into address family L2VPN EVPN, and then neighbor. Here activate leaf 2 and leaf 1 as a neighbor of leaf 3. So now 11.1 12.1, 192.168.11.1 activate, 11.1 and then 12.1 and then 12.1 and then use the same command for 13.1 15.1, 13.1 15.1. So now advertise all the VNIs and then end it and save the steps by using command write. So here we can see all the configurations are saved in /etc/fr/bgpd.conf file. So now here I'll check the status of BGP by using command show IP BGP neighbors. So yes, everything is fine. Show BGP summary, yeah, everything is fine. Now show IP route, there is no BGP route present. And then here I'll also check the status of BGP, show IP BGP, yes, show BGP summary. So everything is fine. So now what I'll do, I'll configure these spine switches. Now I'll start this spine switch, spine 1. Here spine 1 is loading. So now we were talking about BGP route reflector. So now what I'll do, I'll make spine 1 and spine 2 as route reflector, because all those routes which will come from here will not be present on the other side, because in BGP for BGP we have to use a technique known as BGP route reflector. I'll make these switches at route reflector client and this switch as server. So now admin, password is SONiC. Now I'll use command vtish configuration mode, no router BGP 65100, BGPD is not running. So router BGP 65000. Oops, I'll check the status. Exit, show IP interfaces. So IP addresses are assigned. Now again I'll go into vtish configuration mode, no router BGP 65100. So router BGP 65000, BGP router ID, no, I'll use command BGP best path AS path and relax. And then for spine 1 I'll make leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3 as a neighbor of spine 1. For this I'll use command neighbor 192.168 and then for leaf 1 11.1 remote AS 65000, for leaf 2 13.1, for leaf 2 13.1 and then for leaf 3 14.1, for leaf 3 14.1. So now leaf 1, leaf 2 and leaf 3 are neighbors of spine 1. So now what I'll do, I'll make spine 1 as a BGP route reflector and make these switches as a route reflector client. I'll use command neighbor 192.168.11.1 route reflector client. So for 13.1 and then for 14.1. Actually spine 1 is a route reflector, which is actually a server, and leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3 are route reflector clients. So now what I'll do, I'll use command address family IPv4 unicast. Now what I'll do, I'll advertise all those networks which are directly attached with spine 1. For spine 1, the networks which are directly attached are 11.0, 13.0, 14.0, 92.168.11.0, 11.0, 13.0 and 14.0, 13.0 and then 14.0. So now exit. Here I'll use command address family L2VPN EVPN. Here I'll use command neighbor 192.168.11.1 route reflector client 13.1 and then 14.1. So I'll end this session by using command end and then save the configuration by using command write. So now I'll go into switch spine 2 and then I'll start it. Here we can see spine 2 is loading. So now for spine 2 I'll repeat all those steps that I did for spine 1. Only the IP addresses will be changed, otherwise everything will be same. In the meantime, I'll assign IP addresses to PC1, PC2, PC3, PC4 to save the time. Here I am entering into PC1. Here I'll assign IP address IP 192.168.10.2.10.2/24. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. I'll check the status of IP address by using command show IP. So yes, IP address is assigned. Now go into host 2. Here I'll use command IP 192.168.17.2.17.2/24. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. I'll check the status of IP address by using command show IP. So now I'll go into PC3. I'll start it. I'll assign the IP address as 10.3. IP 192.168.10.3/24 255.255.255.0. Now I'll check the status of IP address show IP. So now I'll go into PC4. I'll start it and then I'll assign the IP address IP 192.168. IP address is 17.3/24 255.255.255.0. So now PC5. So I'll assign IP address to PC5 as IP 192.168. The IP address is 10.4.10.4/24.255.255.255.0. Here I'll check the status of IP address, show IP. So now last host is remaining, which is PC6. So now I'll use command IP 192.168. The IP address is 17.4.17.4/24.255.255.255.0. So I'll check the status of IP address by using command show IP. So everything is fine. Now I'll go to into leaf 1. So yes, it's working. Leaf 2 is also working. Leaf 3 is also working. So now I'll go into Spine. I'll use command login as admin. Password is SONiC. So Vitish, configuration mode, no router BGP 65100, router BGP 65000, neighbor one. First of all, I'll use command BGP best path AS path multipath relax, neighbor 192.168. Here the neighbor of spine 2 are spine 2. So for spine 2 the neighbors are 12.1, 15.1, 16.1. 12.1 remote AS 65000, and then 15.1 15.1, and then the neighbor is 16.1. 16.1. So now neighbor 192.168.12.1 as route reflector client, route reflector client, and then 15.1, and then 16.1. So now address family IPv4 unicast. I'll advertise all the networks which are attached with spine 2: 12.0, 15.0, 16.0. Network 192.168.12.0, 12.0, 15.0, 16.0, 12.0, 15.0, 16.0. So now I'll exit out. I'll use command address family L2VPN EVPN, neighbor 192.168.12.1, route reflector client, and then 15.1, and then 16.1 as a route reflector client. So I will end this session. Use command write. So now I'll check the status of VXLAN tunnel, VXLAN remote VTAP, EVPN VNI, and so on. So now I'm going into leaf 1. Here I'll exit out. I'll use command show VXLAN remote VTAP. Here we can see the source IP is 1.1.1, 1.1.1, and the destination IP is 2.2.2 and 3.3.3. For two destination IPs, same source IP is used, which is actually loopback 10. So here we can see EVPN technique is used. Here we can see the operational status is down. Actually it is a bug. On the front end, on the display, it is showing operationally down, but it is operationally up. How? So now to check whether it is down or not, I'll go into topology. Here I'll generate a ping request for PC3 from PC1. PC1 ping 192.168 10.3. Here we can see everything is fine. Spine Leaf topology is working, data center topology is working, VxLAN BGP L2VPN EVPN is working, because PC1 is receiving a response from PC3. So now let me check one more thing, whether PC1 can ping PC2 or not. So now I'll use command ping 192.168. the IP address is 17.2. Here we can see these two hosts are not able to send ping request or to receive packets, to receive the response, because this is VxLAN BGP L2VPN EVPN. This is not a asymmetric IRB routing. The asymmetric IRB routing is a technique that I'll use in the next video, in which the subnets can generate ping request and can receive response. Actually, they can communicate with each other. In this topology, the inter subnets like 10.0 cannot communicate with 17.0. So now again I'll generate a ping request for 10.4 for 10.4. Yes, it is fine. So now I'll go into topology, into leaf 1. Here I'll use command Vitish. I'll use command show EVPN VNI detail. Yes, everything is working fine. Local VTAPs, and here we can see VNI is 10, type is L2. So here VNI is 20, type is L2. So local VTAP is 1.1.1. here local VTAP is 1.11, and remote VTAP is 2.2.2 and 3.03. yes, everything is working fine. So now I'll go into leaf 2. Here exit out, show VXLAN remote VTAP. Yes, here the source IP is 2.2.2.2. so now show VXLAN remote, and let me go into leaf L1. Here I'll run this command show VXLAN remote MAC all. Yeah, actually this is the main thing. What does it mean here? Now we can see, actually in this topology, what we need for this VTAP, we need a MAC address of PC3. So here we can see here the MAC address. The MAC address is 5079666805. leaf 1 666805. here we can see 6805. What does it mean? It means the remote MAC has been learned through VTAP, which is actually our main task, to learn the remote MAC of the destination host, which is actually a VXLAN BGP L2VPN EVPN. So now here we can see the remote MAC has been learned with remote VTAP 2.2.2, and for this local VTAP 1.1.1 was used to learn the remote MAC of this host. For this host, VLAN 10 is used, and then PC2, the MAC address is 666801. So now here we can see a PC3, remote MAC of PC3. remote MAC of PC3 is 05. Here 05, and the remote MAC of PC4 is show IP. Remote MAC of PC4 is 6803. Here 6803. What does it mean? Actually, this is in VLAN 10 and this is VLAN 20. So for PC4 is in VLAN 20. PC4 is in VLAN 20 and the MAC address is 03. Here we can see 03 and VLAN 20. And the remote VTAP is 2.2. So 1.1.1.1 VTAP was used to learn this remote MAC, destination host MAC. So everything is working fine in this Spine Leaf topology. So now here I'll go into Vitish. I'll use command show BGP L2VPN EVPN. So here we can see everything is working fine. RD route distinguisher, route type 1, type 2, type 3 and so on. And then I'll go into leaf 3. Here I'll check the status. Show VXLAN remote MAC all. Oops, what happened? What happened? Spine 1, Spine 2, leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3. Show VXLAN remote VTAP. So as we can see here, everything is working fine. So now what I'll do, I'll go into PC6 and generate a ping request, ping 192.168, ping request for 17.3, 1.17.3. Here as we can see, it is receiving a response from 17.3. Now again I'll go into leaf 3. Here I'll use command show VXLAN remote MAC all. So as we can see here, and this is the interesting thing, this is an important thing. So now here we can see the MAC address of PC4 17.3 PC4. The MAC address is 6803 and it has been learned leaf 3 6803, and the MAC address has been learned by generating a ping request. As you can, remote VTAP is 2.2 and VTAP 3.3.3 was used to learn this MAC address. Now I'll generate a ping request for 17.2 from PC6. Here again I'll go into leaf 3. Here I'll use command show VXLAN remote MAC all. So here we can see second MAC has been added in the table. So this is an interesting thing for Spine Leaf topology. As we can see, everything is working fine. So now MAC address has been learned through VTAP 3.3.3.3. So now I'll go into Spine 1. Here I'll use command show IP route. Here we can see these are the BGP routes, and then for now I'll go into Spine 2, show IP route, show BGP summary. So everything is working fine. Yeah, so As we have seen, everything is working fine. Spine leaf topology, data center topology is working fine. So in this video, inter subnet routing is not possible because this is not a asymmetric IRB routing. In next video, I'll configure asymmetric IRB routing, in which inter-subnet routing like 10.0 network can communicate with 17.0 network. So thank you guys for watching my video. If you want more videos like this, do subscribe my channel.